Welcome to our presentation, Exploring the Statue of Liberty National Monument, as presented by Amy Vothier, Jeff Van Wormer, and Kevin Warnicki. The Statue of Liberty stands at the entrance of Lower New York Harbor on Liberty Island. The idea began in 1865 and was officially dedicated on October 28, 1886.
Liberty enlightening the world, the Statue of Liberty. This well-known bronze statue stands on Liberty Island in New York Bay. It was a gift from France to the US on the first centenary of American independence in the 19th century. There's a smaller version of the Statue of Liberty on the River Seine in Paris. The statue's outstretched right hand holds a torch. This part of the statue was made first. The statue was crafted in Paris, dismantled, and then shipped to New York. The base section of the statue was made by the Americans. Including its base section, the Statue of Liberty is 93 meters high. If you look closely, there are seams on her robe. Some 300 pieces were put together like a jigsaw puzzle. Inside her right arm, there's a ladder with 42 steps. It goes right up to the torch. The torch is covered in gold leaf. It shines like a beacon in all weathers. Until recently, anybody could go inside the statue, but in 2001 it was closed to the public for security reasons. That hasn't deterred visitors. On the tablet in her left hand is a date, July the 4th, 1776. That was the date America declared its independence. Chains crushed under her feet symbolize liberation from oppression. Seven beams of light from her crown symbolize freedom radiating to the 7 continents and 7 seas. There is the hope that when the entire world enjoys such freedom, it will mean the end of war and of fear. The statue is a symbol of hope for the whole world to live freely and at peace.
As the American Civil War ended around 1865, France proposed to give the United States a statue as a gift. The statue was to be an icon to celebrate the United States' success in building a viable democracy. It was to commemorate the long-lasting friendship between the two nations and the centennial of the American Declaration of Independence. The statue stands for universal freedom and a democracy the entire world should try to achieve. The project was a joint venture between 2 thriving countries, America and France, under the project name Liberty Enlightening the World. Laboulaye was the French historian who proposed the idea to create the statue and give it to the United States for holding to their ideals of democracy during a fierce civil war. Sculptor Bartholdi, known for his large-scale sculptures, was to design the piece in time for the centennial celebration of the Declaration of Independence in 1876. To create the skeleton on which the skin would attach, Bartholdi called on Viollet de Leduc to build a structure necessary to manage the gusty winds of the New York harbor. Viollet Leduc died unexpectedly in 1879. Bartholdi hired Eiffel, who completely changed the support structure design but retained the armature bar usage and technique. Famously, Eiffel went on to build the Eiffel Tower for the 1989 World's Fair. Richard Hunt was born October 31st, 1828 in Brattleboro, Vermont. Hunt designed the statue's pedestal. He completed 2 years of work with many rejections by his team before finalizing his project in 1894. Hunt, also known for his work with the New York Tribune Building, Lenox Library, and the Administration Building of the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. William Evarts served as chairman of the American Committee for the Statue of Liberty from 1877 through 1886. Evarts played a key role in ensuring a successful fundraising campaign. He was also very politically connected and was able to influence President Grant to accept the Statue of Liberty as a gift from France. He was also able to secure an additional $56,000 from Congress to construct the statue's pedestal. Charles Stone was born September 30th, 1824 in Greenfield, Massachusetts. Stone was a career United States Army officer, civil engineer, and surveyor, and served as the chief engineer for the statue from 1883 through 1885. Stone was primarily responsible for the proper attachment and securement of the pedestal. Joseph Pulitzer was a successful newspaper owner-publisher. He was responsible for fundraising over $100,000 from the public by publishing the following editorial in his newspaper, The New York World. He writes, and I quote, "We must raise the money. The World is the people's paper, and now it appeals to the people to come forward and raise the money. The $250,000 of a statue cost was paid by the masses of the French people, by the working men, the tradesmen, the shopgirls, the artisans, by all, irrespective of class or condition. Let us respond in like manner. Let us not wait for the millionaires to give us the money. It is not a gift from the millionaires of France to the millionaires of America, but a gift of the whole people of France to the whole people of America." Over 125,000 donations came in, with most being $1 or less in value. Pulitzer contributes this success to his mantra, "Publicity, publicity, publicity is of the greatest moral factor and force in our public life." Emma Lazarus, a native New Yorker, contributed to one of the most well-known pieces of art inspired by the Statue of Liberty and its optimistic message to the world's disenfranchised people. Her sonnet entitled The New Colossus, written in 1883 for an auction to raise funds for the pedestal, was a tribute to the symbolism of Lady Liberty. In the past, many large monument statues were really meant to deter enemies or represent the strength and wealth of a nation. But this is not so for Lady Liberty, as Lazarus writes, and I quote, "Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lightning and her name. Mother of exiles, from her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities fame. Keep ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." As part of the gift, France agreed to build, freight over, and install the statue on its pedestal site in the New York harbor. The United States accepted the gift, as well as the burden, to build the foundation and pedestal for the monument. France, with a long-standing economy, generated revenue to pay the costs via public fees, entertainment event profits, and a lottery. The United States, who was still rebounding from a horrific civil war, had a much harder time raising the necessary construction money. However, Harsh public criticism of the rich and middle class via a newspaper editorial became the main method of fundraising to complete the construction. In 1871, Bartholdi took off for America in search for the perfect place to build a statue. Bartholdi spent a year in America before returning to France with news that he has found the perfect site, as well as found an interest from the Americans. The site was Bedloe's Island. The entire statue was designed, built, assembled for fit, and disassembled all in France, and completed in July 1884. The military vessel, the Isera, transported the completely disassembled statue to New York, arriving in June 1885. Lady Liberty was carefully packed into separate crates or subassembly pieces. The statue had to be stored for a year, as the foundation construction in New York was behind schedule and still ongoing. Finally, Charles Stone and his construction team finished the base in April of 1886. It was time to build. Assembly went very quickly, as Lady Liberty was up and standing tall in just 4 quick months. President Grover Cleveland dedicated the Statue of Liberty on October 28, 1886, to a crowd of cheering Americans.
The year was 1885. The day, June 17th, when one of the greatest symbols of our nation's freedom, the Statue of Liberty, first sailed into the New York harbor. For almost 130 years, she has stood as a beacon, a sign of hope, and an enduring symbol of the American dream. She has welcomed countless immigrants, and millions come to see her every year. Safe to say, we all love her, and for the most part, we think we know her. But do we? Come on, let's go to Amy Holmes from Real News.
Hey, Raj.
How are
Welcome.
you?
Good to see you.
Now,
Lady Liberty, quite spectacular.
tell me about her.
She was a gift to the United States from France as a sign of international friendship and put in the New York harbor to welcome immigrants coming to our shores. At that time, back in 1876, when she was first sculpted, that meant a lot of Western Europeans who were coming across the Atlantic, and their first stop often was New York.
So who designed her, who built her? Tell me some of that kind of stuff.
Sure. So a Frenchman named Frederick Auguste Bartholdi designed the Statue of Liberty. And something that I read that was fascinating is her copper skin that he sculpted her out of is actually thinner than 2 pennies. So you look at the Statue of Liberty,
Really?
you think like it must be so heavy, which of course it is, but the actual material that he used is very supple copper that then turned brown and then became green because of the oxidation process. So she actually started out a different color. Isn't that funny?
I think that's an interesting thing because I always just assume that the Statue of Liberty, she's green.
No, she started out like a copper penny. So her outer shell, that thin membrane, that was sculpted by the Frenchman Bartholdi, but her inside structure was created by a Frenchman named Eiffel, and perhaps you know him from the Eiffel Tower. So how were they going to get this huge statue to stay up? Well, they went to Eiffel to engineer it and figure it out.
So how did it end up in New York?
Well, it was shipped across the Atlantic with the intention of being a gift of America's 100th birthday to celebrate July 4th, 1776, when we declared our independence. It got here a little late, about 10 years later, and was finally erected on Liberty Island in 1886. Now, coming across the ocean, it took 350 individual pieces packed in over 200 crates to get her from France to the United States. So you can understand why it took some time to get her up on that pedestal.
So aside from just the staggering size of the statue is the symbolism. The symbolism is cool. And it seems like
is.
almost every little nook and cranny has some sort of symbolism attached to it.
The sculptor was very thoughtful in all of the different elements that he chose. So of course there's the torch, which we're also familiar with, that is a symbol of liberty and light and enlightening the world. Then you have the Statue of Liberty's crown with 7 points on it. Those 7 rays of the sun are actually the 7 seas and the 7 continents of the whole world.
I did not know that.
I had no idea either. All of these little details, even down to the shoes that she's wearing.
Really?
Yes, so the Statue of Liberty is wearing sandals, and those sandals are a symbol of free people, sort of the common man wearing sandals, and around her feet are broken chains and shackles to represent, again, American freedom. And it's all over the statue that there are all these really neat symbols.
How, if at all, has she been altered since she was first put up?
So the first real reconstruction was in 1916 during World War I, and that's when some German saboteurs, they exploded munitions on an island near the statue, and it did damage to the statue, in particular the torch. So we had to go and repair the torch, but what's kind of interesting and maybe a little sad is the torch has been closed to anybody being able to go in it ever since. And then after the World Trade Center disaster in 2001, Lady Liberty was actually closed for 3 years. And I don't know if you remember, there was scaffolding all around. It was really interesting. So they were doing work on her just as recently as a little over 10 years ago.
So it's kind of the story of America in this one little statue, because you've had World War I affected, the September 11th affected,
sure,
Hurricane Sandy affected.
Sandy, exactly, and yet there she is, standing tall, standing proud, and enduring.
You see how she just wraps things up like that?
In 1885, the cost of the statue paid by the people of France was 2,250,000 francs, which was a currency prior to the adoption of the euro in 1999. Converted to American currency in 1885, it was $250,000. The cost of building the pedestal by the American people was $100,000, with most donations being about $1 or less. Roughly 125,000 people contributed money to complete the pedestal. $1 back in 1885 equals $26.68 today in 2015. In other words, France's cost converted into today's dollars would be $6.67 million, while the American cost converted would equal $2.67 million. Seeing the Statue of Liberty in person is a very imposing experience due to the sheer size of the monument. Total overall height from the base of the pedestal foundation to the tip of the torch is 305 feet 6 inches, making the monument 51 times taller than a 6-foot man. The total weight of the Statue of Liberty is 225 tons, or 450,000 pounds, which is roughly the combined weight of 2,500 men at 175 pounds each. The statue has a 35-foot waistline. There are 7 rays in her crown, one for each of the 7 continents and 7 seas, and each measuring up to 9 feet in length and weighing as much as 150 pounds. The face of the Statue of Liberty measures more than 8 feet tall. A tablet held in her left hand measures 23 feet 7 inches tall and 13 foot 7 inches wide, with the inscribed date of July 4th, 1776. At the feet of the statue lie broken shackles and chain that represent the freedom from oppression and tyranny. There are 154 steps from the pedestal to the head of the Statue of Liberty. The exterior copper covering the Statue of Liberty is 3/32 of an inch thick, less than the thickness of 2 pennies put together, and the light green color is the result of a natural weathering of the copper. I think the idea that Lady Liberty resides on Ellis Island is often a misconception. The statue actually resides on Bedloes Island, which was renamed Liberty Island in 1956. In the picture, Ellis Island is in the immediate background, left of center from the statue. Ellis Island has 33 structures in total, and in 1954 it was closed and declared excess federal property. In 1965, President Johnson added Ellis Island to the Statue of Liberty National Monument. Now, the National Park Service has full jurisdiction over both islands. The Statue of Liberty stands at the entrance of Lower New York Harbor on Liberty Island, about 1 mile from Lower Manhattan. Statue Cruises is the only provider authorized by the National Park Service to provide transportation to and from the islands. Tickets are available for purchase at the ferry departure points in Battery Park, New York, or Liberty State Park, New Jersey. Visit the National Park Service website for the Statue of Liberty National Monument for additional information and hours of operation. If you enjoy learning about history as much as we do, you will need to allocate the entire day to visit the Statue of Liberty. The exhibit is highly effective by including many pictures, videos, narratives, replicas, and interactive displays for your enjoyment, such as the statue's original torch from the 1984 restoration. A smaller replica is located in Paris, France, that is quarter scale of the actual monument. As shown by the map, which is approximately a half mile from the Eiffel Tower. That Alexander Gustave Eiffel also designed and built for the 1989 World's Fair. The Statue of Liberty grew in its importance, welcoming millions of immigrants who viewed it as a welcome beacon, as when they saw the Lady Liberty, they knew they had made it to America. The statue, with its tablet and chains, memorializes freedom. Lady Liberty is a symbol of hope and peace for the whole world to live freely and without war. Collectively, the emotions we felt as we researched this project were of appreciation, fascination, and enthusiasm to be Americans. We are in awe to the amount of passion and work that went into the monument and exhibit. Jeff, our learning team partner, has a deeper and special connection. He is a retired military veteran who protects the freedoms the Statue of Liberty symbolizes. We all appreciate Jeff's contributions. While reviewing the National Parks website, we noticed a few sentences that wrap up what the statue symbolizes for us. It reads, and I quote, "Freedom is not standing still. A symbolic feature that people cannot see are the broken chains wrapped around her feet. Protruding from the bottom of her robe, the broken chains symbolize her free forward movement, enlightening the world with her torch, free from oppression and servitude." Thank you very much for allowing us to share and explore this wonderful work of art with you today. I would enjoy answering any questions you may have.